Hey, everybody. Welcome to our boot camp. I'm very, very excited. We pre-recorded this because our guest has an engagement for tomorrow morning. So we are doing it tonight. This is Friday night, but we will be seeing all of you live Saturday morning. And our guest today is Joanna Mitchell, IPD. And I have to tell you, this one has a special place in my heart. I met her in Hawaii, which is, not a bad place to meet someone. And I remember, she was waiting for her friend to get there and we were all sharing a room. And I said, come with me. And, she didn't know me. And we all hung out in downtown Paella, is that what it's called?
Yep, it's
And
paella.
fun. And then we slept together in the same bed.
We
And
did. We became really cozy.
she prayed over me. I had a little incident going. She prayed over me. She's such a special person. And what's happened to her, and since then, that was January 2000, I think 18. I mean, wow, what amazing business, an amazing leader. And I know a lot of you have seen her present on different things that the company's offered. And I know you've kept going back and back and back to her recording. So I'm excited that she agreed to this. And I'm not gonna take any more time up. Joanna, take it away.
Thank you, Susie. You have a special place in my heart, too. Susie has this gift of making people feel loved and comfortable and welcomed. And when I was in Maui, I was terrified. In fact, I remember flying, getting ready to get on the plane, and I was trying to come up with 100 reasons not to go because I was going to be around all these giants. And I was so nervous and felt so inadequate and so unworthy. And Susie just swept right in and hugged me and made me feel like her best friend, which is what one of the many things she's so gifted at. And ironically, that is some of the things that I want to talk to you guys tonight. And I'm super excited to spend some time with you. We're just going to kind of dig in and talk about some things. I'm trying to pull my notes up. So if I have my phone, one of these days I'm going to figure out how to keep my phone from locking out, but we'll get there. So I might have to go back and forth. But I want to talk to you a little bit. I want to share a little bit of my story and an area of my life that I have contended greatly with. And that's the area of thinking. And I'm going to take you back a little farther to just early Optavia Joanna. Early Optavia Joanna really, really, really struggled with stinking thinking. Early Optavia Joanna had a tape playing in her head often. A tape of, you can't. A tape of, you won't. A tape of, you'll never. A tape of, you're not worthy. A tape of, you don't deserve it. A tape of, they're better than you. They're stronger than you. They're smarter than you. I mean, you get the drift, right? Like the tape was constant shame. It was all the things I wasn't all the time. And I spent all my energy looking at everyone else, what they had, their talents, their gifts, their treasure, their time, wishing for that. And paying attention really to what I didn't have and what I couldn't have, or at least what I thought I didn't have or couldn't have. You step into this Optavia world and you start having a lot of people tell you often you can. You have a lot of people start saying to you, anything's possible if you're willing to lean in and do the work. And for a brief glimmer, for a brief second, I started to believe them. I started to believe I can do this. And I rolled up my sleeves and I started getting to work. I became relentless and started working and working and working. And this story is important because I want to take you through. I worked through and I made it to IPD, baby. I made it to IPD. But you want to know something? A lot of the scripts in my head hadn't changed. I kind of just pushed them to the side, pretended they weren't there, rolled up my sleeves, got to work, which was good. But at the end of the day, those scripts still needed to be dealt with. And I can assure you, if I had dealt with those scripts on the front end, I can assure you I would have gotten to IPD faster. But even more importantly, I would have gotten there in a way healthier way. Because once I got to IPD, I spent about a year, 2 years, rolling around figuring, now what do I do? Do I deserve to be here? Do I deserve to be around these people? These people are so much better. In fact, so much so, I even went to Sundance one year and gave myself shingles because I was so stressed out and so in my head and so overwhelmed with the feeling of unworthiness and not being enough. So my passion, my fire, my deepest desire is when I'm around people, I want people to know, yes, you are qualified, you are wired for, and you deserve to live an uncommon life with an uncommon freedom. I'm going to say that again. You are wired for, you deserve, and you can and you will have an uncommon life with an uncommon freedom. But it starts, that uncommon freedom starts with uncommon thinking. Let's talk about what uncommon freedom is first. And this is important because I want to have parameters for what I mean by uncommon freedom. I look at average all the time. Average per marriage ends in divorce. What is it, 50%? That's average. Averages for cancer, what is it, 1 in 5 people get cancer? That's average. Average family lives paycheck to paycheck and has mounds of debt. That's average. And it's funny because I hear people a lot talk to me about how they're content. I have enough. I'm good. I'm okay. I don't need anything more. And I look at them, I'm like, you're full of crap. You're full of crap. You're using the word contentment as your numbing agent to convince yourself that you don't dream anymore or need any things that you don't, to convince yourself you don't have needs anymore, that you don't want anymore, to convince yourself that you don't dream anymore, and to really hold down, that's the lid that holds down all the dreams that you had that you're trying to justify why you never went after. That's what contentment is. Very different from thankfulness. So I want you to understand when I'm leaning in on this conversation, I am leaning in a complete abolition of contentment. I hate that word. I believe contentment has become the numbing agent for I gave up. So do not misunderstand that. That is different from gratitude. You better bet your behind I am grateful and I live in gratitude, but I will never stop with contentment. Not until every person I touch, every person I come encounter with gets the opportunity to be empowered and equipped for an uncommon freedom. So let's jump back now. Uncommon freedom. It's the opposite of average. Average sucks. Susie, I hope I'm allowed to say sucks and some other words because I'm going to tonight. But so if you're easily offended, I apologize in advance. But you know what? I don't, because common and average sucks. I look at average and I don't want any part of it anymore. And I guess that my guess is you're here because you don't want any part of it anymore either. But here's the trick. It starts with your thinking. My guess, if I were to sit with a cup of coffee with every single one of you and start asking you, who do you say you are? I would love to hear some of the things you would tell me. I think some of you would tell me mom or dad, wife or husband. If we started talking about your business or your health journey, some of you might say, well, I'm an emotional eater. I'm overwhelmed. I'm exhausted. I'm struggling. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I'm this. A lot of I ams. And you want to know what you've done with feelings and moments? You've made them your identity. So that's foundation right there. Right there, we got to start foundationally. Who do you say you are? Who do you say you are? I want you to start thinking about that. I want you to write down on a day-to-day basis. I want you to think through this. Who do you say you are? Do you say, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I fall off program every day at 3 o'clock. I drink every weekend because I don't know how to not. I'm overwhelmed. Who do you say you are? Your identity matters. Who you say you are matters. I don't know where you are in the belief spectrum and faith spectrum, but no matter where you are, this I know is truth. You are created in the image of an incredibly creative, awesome creator. If you're created in that image, you are way more than tired. You are way more than overwhelmed. You are way more than an emotional eater. So I want to start with that. Who do you say you are? Day in and day out. Do you say, I'm a health coach? Do you wake up and go, I'm an overcomer. I'm creative. I have power. Answers flow through me easily. I am incredible at making really good decisions in my health. I am disciplined. Who do you say you are? As a man thinks, so he is. And I promise you, as woo-woo as this sounds, the foundation of who you say you are must be set. And I want you to start paying attention to it. Who do you say you are? I was on the phone the other day with this woman, and she was telling me all the reasons why she couldn't hit her goal weight. She was like, I can't reach my goal weight because I'm an emotional eater, and I've always been a big girl, and I struggle with this and she went on all these things. And I asked her, I said, that's really interesting. Tell me, who do you say you are? And she started naming mom, wife, all these things. I was like, really? Because in the last 5 minutes, I heard you say, I'm an emotional eater. I'm not disciplined. I'm just tired. I heard you tell me all these things. I didn't hear you say anything really nice about yourself of who you were. And let me tell you, as a man thinks, so he believes, so he is. And I think you've already decided in advance that you're going to fail by 3 o'clock. I think you've already decided in advance, I'm an emotional eater, therefore I will just emotionally eat. And here's the crazy thing about our brains, is once your brain is convinced of something, guess what it does? It searches the world for evidence to prove that you're right, to prove that it's right. So when you've already said, I am overwhelmed, which by the way, overwhelm is a feeling, not an identity. Let me just state that right there. It's a feeling, not an identity. Now your brain is looking for all the reasons to prove you are right and you are overwhelmed. I suck, looking for all the reasons. I can't, looking for all the reasons. I'm not enough, looking for the reasons. I'm not creative. It will look and look until it finds the reasons to prove it's true. So here is what I'm going to challenge you today. Flip the freaking script. Today is the day you flip the freaking script. I challenge you, instead of saying, I blow it every day at 3 o'clock, which by the way is failing in advanced, I challenge you to say, I flip the script and say, every day at 3 o'clock, I am amazing at making powerful decisions about my health. Start just saying it. Every day at 3 o'clock, I'm amazing at making powerful decisions in my health. When you're getting anxious about posting, you're like, I don't have anything to post about. I want you to wake up in the morning and go, I am full of inspiration and brilliance to offer the world in social media today. When you're about to get on that health assessment and go, oh my gosh, this person isn't going to even want to sign up. I am so excited that I have a kick-ass offering to bring to this person, and I can't wait to see how they're going to change their life. Flip the freaking script. You must pay attention. Here's the thing about your brain. Your brain is just an organ. Your heart is an organ. Your liver is an organ. Your eyes, I'm pretty sure they're an organ. But you know what? Your brain, I know, is just an organ. And it needs to be trained just like your heart. It needs to be trained just like your legs and your muscles. It needs, like your lungs, it needs to be trained. It is listening to you all the time. What are you telling it? I say this to our team often. I found it as a stick. It was a sticker in one of my books. Here's where I swear again. But your brain's your bitch. I'm so sorry, Susie, but it's true. And I feel like this image needs to be imprinted on your head. She's never going to ask me to speak again. Okay, here's why. You know, prison? Okay, she's dying. You wish you guys, I don't know if you guys can see her, but she's dying right now. But you know, prison, like, you know, you got your bitch. Like your brain, you are in charge of your brain. Stop walking around as if, woe is me, I have no power here. You are in charge of your brain. You need to take back responsibility and power for what you are saying to yourself. And here's what I also want to know. When I talk about that saying to yourself, do you know that you're crazy and talk to yourself all day long? And it might not be out loud, but I guarantee you have more conversations with yourself than anyone else on the planet. Right now, as I'm talking, you're having a conversation with yourself. You're making judgments, good or bad, about me, which, by the way, is completely about you and not about me. There's a little side note of freedom for you. We'll talk about that in a minute. But here's the thing. You're having conversations with yourself right now. What are you telling yourself? How are you talking to yourself? How are you landing? What kind of thoughts are you leaving for yourself to land on? Do you live in a perpetual cycle of I'm always screwing up, I'm never enough? Or are you setting yourself up for I am enough, I am growing, I am going to bring brilliance and excellence to the people I come around every day? Just a thought. And the reason why this is so important is because your inner game always runs your outer game. It drives it. We've learned this in transformational TLDP. I can never get it. Transformational Leadership Development Program. I said it. I'm amazing. So TLDP, we've learned the inner game drives the outer game. So you can show up for a really long time putting action, which, by the way, we're going to talk about action in a second. But if at some point your thought life will catch up with you, you can have the whole entire world and be miserable because of the way you think. Or you might stay locked up and never start getting into action because of the way you think. So why don't we start at the beginning and start changing the way we think? An uncommon freedom, that extraordinary life that you see behind your eyes, starts with extraordinary, uncommon thinking. So here's my question to you. Are you willing? This is not a competency issue. This is not a self-disciplined issue. This is not I have enough willpower issue. It's a simple question. Are you willing? Are you willing to do the work to change the way you think? Are you willing? That's my favorite question I ask my clients and my coaches often. They can say, I want this, this, and this, and this. I'm like, awesome. Are you willing to do what it takes to go after it? Because it has nothing to do with your personality, it has nothing to do. We can learn skills, but if you're not willing, it's pointless. Are you willing? Are you willing to do this work? And I'm going to give you some strategies on how we do that work. So we talked about flipping the script. I also want you to have mantras. And this sounds weird, but I want you to think, where is an area of your life that you contend with the most right now? What is one area where you keep coming back around, where you keep believing a lie about yourself that's holding you back? I want you to create a mantra, and I want it to be, I am so grateful that I show up with power and excellence every day. Now, that's for me. I want you to flip a script for you. You can borrow mine. I say to myself, because here's another, ready? Here's another story. Oh, by the way, this whole story about the 3 o'clock, I blow it. That was my story. My story was every day at 3 o'clock, I blow it. So guess what I did every day at 3 o'clock? Guess what I did this last year? I gained 15 pounds. Full transparency. Guess what I'm doing right now? I'm flipping the script. I wake up every morning and I tell myself I am powerful and excellent at making astounding decisions in my health, even at 3 o'clock. Guess what? I've lost 7 pounds. I'm in fat burn, which you might see me jump up and down in a second because I'm really high energy right now. So, but I told myself I could never get back into fat burn. Nope, look, there's another thing I could find myself to prove. So I want you to flip the script. I want you to create mantras, and then I want you to create triggers to remind yourself. Brendan Burchard talks about doorway triggers. I love doorway triggers. Every time you go through a doorway, you remind yourself of something. I actually put things in my phone. I have timers go off through the day where I have 3 words pop up about who I've decided I'm going to be. I also have recorded my why and my I am statement spoken to me from leading from the future. I am so grateful now that I am da da da. I have a full long paragraph that I've recorded and I play for myself so I can hear myself telling me this while I'm getting ready in the morning or while I'm in the car. Sounds a little bit wonky, right? But here's the reality. Again, we're willing to work out. We're willing to run all over town and do all these things for our kids to get them to practices and do all this stuff, but we're not willing to train our brain. When your brain is the very thing that's just an organ that's overriding you when you need to be overriding it. What's the deal? Are you willing? And then let's circle back to this whole notion, because I feel very compelled to talk about this for a minute. When I said, you're making judgments about me right now, good or bad, it comes back to that meaning-making machine. Your brain is a meaning-making machine. It loves to create stories. You probably have a story about my room right now. You probably have a story about my hat. Joanna loves pink. She loves buffaloes. Or Joanna didn't do her hair today. Like whatever. So she has her hair in a braid, which would be the true story. But you probably have so many stories going on in your head right now. And guess what? Guess who that story is about? That story means something about you. And this is important because I, for the longest time, wouldn't show up on social media, would be afraid to be bold and ask a client if they would share my story or if they would like to explore coaching, or I would be afraid to speak boldly into someone's life because I was scared of being judged. I was scared of being misunderstood. I was scared of being, of what they would think of me. And 3 things have really changed in my life since then. Thing number 1, I am learning to break the addiction of other people's opinions having anything to do with my value. By the way, that's an addiction. It is an addiction to other people's opinions that elevates your value or de-elevates your value, period. That's an addiction. And I am choosing and learning to break that addiction. I will no longer be addicted to another person's opinion in order to have my value fed up or decreased, period. I've decided who I am. I have decided who I am, even when there's not evidence in it right now, because I know what my best self is. And that's important. I want you to decide who you are, even when there isn't evidence. Who is your best self? And that's who you're leaning into. Number 2, I have learned that other people's opinions about me is about them. It is 100% about them and does nothing to do with me and does not change my value at all. Why does it keep making that dinging noise? Something weird is in my computer. Number 3, I don't know what it is. Number 3. All right, I'm gonna have to see if I can fix that real quick. All right. I don't know, can you hear it? All right, sorry. Number 3, here's the third thing. The third thing is people are going to make judgments no matter what. Because again, we are all meaning making machines. Someone is judging you all the time, no matter what. So why the heck not let them judge you while you're living your life on purpose, creating what you see behind your eyes and empowering other people to do the same? Because either way, they're judging you. So it's time to just say, move on, Frances, get yourself out there and start living your life on purpose. When I made these decisions, when I made these choices, suddenly real Joe started showing up. Suddenly the fullness of who God has intended me to be showed up because I wasn't living in constant need of other man's approval. Just a thought. Just a thought on that. And finally, I have one other thing I wanted to talk about. Here's the last one. When it comes to the way you think and judgments, because we're talking about judgments and you're talking about jealousy. Let me ask you this. You ever see someone else's life or someone else's posts and get jealous? Get a little envious? You ever look at someone else's life and start making judgments? Oh, they have it easier. You ever look at someone else's life and go, oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do what they're doing. You know, Samantha Prestonbach. I don't know if you guys know who Samantha Prestonbach is. This is a side note. When she started doing lives, when lives first started happening, by the way, she's my business mentor. I'm 2 levels under her. She started doing lives when they just started becoming big. And I literally looked at her and I was like, what is she doing? I would never do that. In fact, if that's what it means to go IPD, I'm out. Aren't you glad you're getting to see all the ugly in me today? But literally, that's what I said. And then I proceeded to tell her that. I literally told her, if going IPD means putting lives up, I'm out. And of course, Samantha has dealt with me for so long and just loved me and said, it's okay. I believe in you. This is about you and you're going to be able to do it. And I just looked at her. She says, you're going to be fine. You're going to do it and you're going to be awesome. Guess what I started doing? I started doing lives. But the point was with all of this is that when you're making judgments about other people, you're really making judgments about yourself. You're really revealing what you dislike the most about yourself or your life. You're really revealing what you're scared most about yourself and about your life. And you're really saying, crap, I just don't think I can do this. I don't think it's possible. I don't think I can. And the reason I tell you this is because it's just another symptom of thinking that doesn't serve you. So as we close out, Susie, is there anything else you want me to touch on? I know I've been rambling for quite some time.
This was so amazing. First of all, it is Friday night and you've had a full day and you've had kid things. And the fact that you came and delivered like this, I am beyond grateful. I can't even get over. I might have written more notes from you than I've written for any of our speakers. But first of all, this is my strong Christian friend who said, your brain is your bitch. You know what? It is so true. This is in another way. I say it differently to my little girl when she's going to bed or my son's going to bed and they have like these thoughts and they get nervous. I said, you are stronger than your brain. You are stronger. I say the same thing. I now might say to them, your brain is.
I say to my kids. I do.
Your kids.
I do. And I kind of do it like this. Your brain's your bitch. Like, I'm like, stop it. Like,
oh, but it's so true. It's like, we're so much more powerful. I am curious, your own, what you would say. Who do you say you are?
I have a whole thing that I have recorded, but I say, I am God's empowering voice. I move freely throughout each day, speaking life into every person that I come in contact with. I leave people better than I found them. I love radically. I bring joy and I bring peace when I come into a room. I have a mind that is capable of making strong, resolute decisions. And I am unwavering in the decisions I make and the, what else do I say? The decisions I make and, oh, I forgot the last part. Anyways, you would think after I listen to it so much, but the most important thing that I repeat over and over is I'm a child of God and I am his empowering voice. I know what my value is, and it has nothing to do with the stupid thoughts in my head. And so I have made a decision to show up like that. That's who I want to show up as.
You think that you can almost pinpoint when you had this flipping of the freaking script and track that against your business to say that your business actually took on a different element, a different momentum because you were more in control of your brain and your mindset?
100%. So I kind of joke about this. I feel like I hit IPD on good looks and charm. Just kidding. But I just did. Like, it was just something that happened because we've lived a lot of places. I've known a lot of people. I know amazing humans. And then my business just stalled. It just stalled out because I had never, ever, ever dealt with the stuff in my head. I just kept pushing it aside. And so for about a year, I just wasn't growing at all. And then, oh my goodness, then you have this whole COVID thing. And guess what? You're home with your thoughts a lot. Home with your thoughts and the thoughts of your 6 kids a lot. And so there was thank God there was time to do some head work and heart work. And I made some very clear decisions. And I can tell you some books that I've read that I highly recommend. Unf Yourself by Gary Bishop is incredible. I study 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. I don't read it, I study it. And there's a new one out. I love the study of the brain and neural pathways. It's kind of my passion. But this is a new one. I have not read it yet, but this is one of my favorite ladies, Dr. Carolyn Leaf. She has a new one. She wrote Who Switched On Your Brain or Switch on Your Brain, Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. As I've made this shift, we have gone gangbusters. Because you project what you believe. You show up whatever you believe.
I love it.
And so now don't get me wrong. You change the way you think, but you also get into action too. Action, action, action. You don't need more confidence, you need more action. But you also need to change the way you think. It's a both and. It's like this cycle. It's a loop. It's a loop. But somewhere in that loop, years ago, I bypassed everything and shoved it down. It always comes back. So you must be willing to do the mental work, because you, like I said, you can gain your whole life, gain this whole miraculous world, but that's not uncommon freedom if you're still stuck in a prison of mental misery. Uncommon freedom is the whole package. So I can say it's gone gangbusters, and I mean, man, so much to be thankful for. Life is good.
Do you feel like it had any effect on your marriage or your relationship with your children?
100% yes. And let me explain why. When you are living in a shame cycle, when you are living in a fear cycle, a shame cycle, everything that goes around you, you interpret through the lens of fear or shame or unworthiness. So when someone says something that offends me, it really offends me because I'm seeing it through my lens of I'm not worthy, I'm ashamed, I'm this. And so guess what I project back onto them? I go into self-preservation mode and I fight back. And instead of contending for relationship and connection, I'm contending for my ego. And that never ends well. I'm not really contending for connection with that child or to hear that, let the other person be heard. I'm contending for my ego and self-preservation. When I'm not contending for that anymore, guess what? I am free to move towards connection with the people that I love. Massive, massive difference in my marriage and my relationship with my kids. You know, I have teenagers and young adults, and I have all the different ages. So yes, massive difference.
Amazing. And I think that's the most, profound thing that you said. I mean, you said so many, there's so many nuggets here, but that right there, that one piece right there that little thing could change everything in your entire life. And it has for you.
Yep.
That's amazing. The only other things I want to hear is how did you come up with your mantra? And then also about the trigger doorway triggers. Give us some examples of what that is so
Yeah,
people get into effect.
that's really good. So I have a friend who is an energy coach,
Mhm.
and he does energy coaching, energy healing. And he is very, 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 very big on, you know, uh, out of the mouth comes the words of life and death. And I believe that. And so he has helped me develop these mantras. He has helped me constantly say the opposite. Like I'll say, man, it's so hard. How often? It's so hard. Do you know how many times you hear a client say, oh, it's just so hard? Or how many times you said, it's just so hard? And he's constantly having me look and go, okay, where have you spoke words of death over your day or over a situation? And that's a word of death. Like literally, when I'm constantly speaking something is hard, it's hard. Then I've made it hard. So I take that and I look at those things and I go, oh wow, I'm amazed at how easy it was for me to move through this day and accomplish the things set before me. Like I really do flip scripts often. I'm becoming more aware of scripts. So when I'm on phone with clients and they say it's so hard, I'm like, that's interesting. What would the opposite of that be? And I let them tell me, oh, it's easy. I'm like, all right, well, let's say that. I'm amazed at how easy it is for me to make powerful decisions about my health. Um, Another one that I love to say is, I am amazed at how I am able to endure hard things effortlessly.
That's great.
We need to stop being afraid of hard. And I can go on a whole tangent on feelings. Maybe I'll come back one time we talk about that. But we need to stop being afraid of hard. And we need to give it a new name. I've given it a new name. It's brain hacking. I'm giving it a new name. Fear. You know, fear and excitement come out of the same spot in your brain. So when I'm feeling fear, especially when I'm getting on stage to speak or coming to do something, I start jumping up and down saying, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. Like I literally, because I'm pumped up and I'm freaking out. But my brain wants to be like, you're terrified, fight, fight, or flight, run. Like you got to get out of here now. And so I start telling myself I'm excited. Same thing. It shifts everything. I mean, I still have the endorphins all running through me, but now they're not propelling me to run out the door. They're pushing me to show up. You know, it's different because it's being interpreted differently.
Gosh, that's good. And what about, so your doorway triggers?
Oh, doorway triggers. So those are usually, it depends. So I have a couple different ones. I had one for the kitchen for a while. Because when I was really having a hard time getting back into program, the kitchen was, I am now entering what was it? I'm so grateful that I'm entering the heartbeat of the home where memories and connection happen. Because I needed to shift the purpose of that, because I was running to that room for in order to numb. That was my numbing place, right? I would run to the kitchen to numb feelings with food. And so I needed to shift what the purpose of that place was. I have a seat trigger. So whenever I sit down for any meeting, when my butt hits that thing, my butt hits the chair, I take a deep breath and I literally say out loud, grant me wisdom to bring value and joy and empowerment. I take a breath. Pardon?
Do that tonight?
Every time. I never get on a Zoom without saying I choose to bring power, empowerment, and joy. Like I never get into a Zoom without that.
I mean, because obviously, because this has been epic. I mean, this has really been
Thank you.
valuable, and you can feel it. You can feel it from your heart. And that's the one thing that drew me to you and I found so special when I didn't even know you is the way I told you, you prayed over me, but the way you spoke to me, it reminds me a lot of Charlene Green. Like she can speak into you and you have that gift, and not everyone has that. And we're so grateful that you have that, and it's such a gift. And it's interesting, people with that gift still have struggles because everyone has struggles, and you're learning how to channel them differently and be more powerful than them. And
That's
anyone
right.
can do that.
Anyone can do that. And that's, if anything, if I want to hear people, I want people to hear me say this. You're not alone. You haven't cornered the market on this, stinking thinking stuff. And yes, you can. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. Okay, again, going crazy again, because unplugged. I hear women often say to me, like, I'll know they've had like 3 or 4 kids, and they're like, it's just, I don't know if I can. It's hard, and I'm not. And I'm like, sister, you've pushed babies out of your crotch. You can do anything. Like, the reality is, people do hard freaking things every day, and they don't give themselves credit for it. And that's another one. Let's do a tangent real quick. Stop saying I have to. Stop saying I have to. Stop that word. I get to, I need to, but I have to, because that disempowers you right out of the gate. I have to take my child to school. I have to go do this. I have to do that. No, you don't. I have to go to work. No, you don't. You literally don't have to go to work. You literally don't have to make dinner. You don't have to. You choose to because you're a freaking boss. We don't give ourselves enough credit for how unbelievably powerful we are and how we show up day in and day out. And we show up day in and day out on things that are sometimes ridiculous. That's another thing. Be willing to let go of the things that are ridiculous, because it's really hard to do this work. It's really hard to be self-disciplined. Yep, it's hard. It's hard to do this work. It's hard to start this business up. It's hard to stay in the game. Yes, it's hard. It's hard staying stuck. Your life that you're living right now is hard. Choose your suck. If you're going to choose hard, choose something that's going to move you forward. Choose the hard that's going to change the trajectory of your family and the legacy of your family and the people you come in contact with. Choose it. You're already doing hard. Like, that's the thing. And so now I'm like, well, why don't you just be intentional about the hard you're choosing? Because you're kind of amazing. Everyone is.
I mean, can't you, obviously we're talking to nobody right now, but
We're talking to the computer. It's amazing.
But I am going to add you. I always like to add the speakers to our Big Thinker Boot Camp so you can see the responses. I already know what it's going to be. Massive amount of comments. Just they're going to be so moved by this. They're going to be feel so empowered, and I'd love for you to do it. And if they have any questions, they're going to write them in there for you, and you can respond. And Joanna, this is on fire. I mean, if you want this recording for your own team, this is great. This is really. I can't. I'm going to reread it over, and I'm going to listen tomorrow and take them again. And because I wasn't expecting this, it's like messy. Everything. So I'm so excited.
I love you, friend.
I mean, you are a special one. You really, really are. You're a gift to all of us.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be here.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
To be on our boot camp.
Well, don't worry. They're about to get some Susie Heyman at my place, so I can't wait for them to get you, girl.
My pleasure. If I get to, and I don't feel like I have to, if I get to, I will be so happy. Oh, Mitchell's coming in to say something.
Mitchell!
I was gonna wait till the recording's done.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
Hey.
he heard it from the other room, and I did hear a little chuckle when he said you pushed a baby out of your crotch. I heard a little chuckle from him.
But he got unplugged.
What I was thinking of, but we're not going to talk about that now.
That's why. Anyway, I didn't even pick up on that. But anyway, so thank you so much. You are such a gift. You really are. And I hope that you guys go and get these books that she discussed, and you use the mantra, use these skills, because these are huge life lessons. They really are. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording here.